All right, now it is time to finish up Kapitel 13, and this is a quick unit on common suffixes for feminine nouns. So let's do the exercises from the end of the last unit first. We have some sentences with verb first conditionals. So interesting places where the verb comes first. So we have, haben Sie Fragen, können Sie mit mir Kontakt aufnehmen? Which, when you see the haben starting that sentence there, it's a statement, but it starts with the verb, so it's implied if you have questions, you can make contact with me. Yeah. Or you can just contact me. Yeah. If you have questions. So it's have you questions. It's like that first one I said, my hat has three corners, and has it not three corners, implying if it doesn't have three corners, right? So if you have questions, haben Sie Fragen? And then, of course, you could put the so optionally. It could be, haben Sie Fragen, so können Sie mit mir Kontakt aufnehmen. So it's not here, but it could be there, so, yeah. Sollten Sie Fragen haben, können Sie mit mir Kontakt aufnehmen? The second part's the same, just to show you the should. Should you have questions, you can make contact with me. So it's just to show you the sollten is the same in English, should you have questions, or if you have questions. And then the so could appear here at the beginning of the second clause, but it does not happen to in this case. And then we have, liest man die Gebrauchsanweisung, kann man technische Probleme lösen, and this one also could have the so, but it doesn't. So this is, if one reads the user manual, one can solve technical problems. Yeah. So liest being in the first position there, man is of course the subject if one reads. So the fact that liest is in the first position in a statement means that it is implying if. Yeah. And then this is a complicated one. You see, we have our first clause here, starting with the verb ist, and then the comma, and then here we actually have the so. I think that the longer the sentence is, the more likely it is to have the so in it, because the more confusing it might be. So the so is very helpful the longer the sentence is, the more helpful the so is in identifying what's going on here. So this one is quite complicated. Ist dieses Buch ein wenig kompliziert und abstrakt geschrieben? So you can say, it says is, right? So you would want to say if it is, right? So ist dieses Buch, this book is, but it's not just this book is, it's if this book is. So if this book is a bit complicated and abstract, but then written, right? So if this book is written in a way that is a bit complicated and abstract, so meaning then, or you could also just omit it. Vermögen means, is another word for können actually. It means it can do this, it's capable of doing this. So vermögen plus some other verb is it's capable of, or it can do it. So it can, die 6 Kapitel, das politische Geschehen Kenias zum ersten Mal so umfassend zu analysieren. So it's able to analyze, die 6 Kapitel, the 6 chapters, are able to analyze the political happenings of Kenya for the first time in such a thorough way. So let's see, I just translated it again, see if I got close to my previous translation. So if this book is written, and I said even if, but by the time I got to the end of the sentence, I was like, oh, even if sounds a little better because it has a contrast, but that's optional. So you can say, if this book is written in a somewhat complicated and abstract way, it's like the book is written complicatedly and abstractly. These are adverbs, right? So I changed it to in a somewhat complicated and abstract way, because the way it's written. The 6 chapters are able to analyze the political happenings in Kenya so thoroughly for the first time. Yeah. So the most important part being if at the beginning. I said even if, because the reason I said even if is because the first part is sort of an admission of a fault of the book, like this is a negative thing, like, oh, it is written, even if it's written in such a complicated and abstract way, but, and something positive. So because something negative and something positive, even sounds good there to contrast them, but it's not necessary. And then, to analyze, and then so thoroughly, so umfassend, so thoroughly, yeah. So hopefully we're able to get through those. And then we have also the dialogue between Frau Ziegler and her doctor. So Frau Ziegler says, ich bin immer so müde, which is, I'm always so tired. And then the doctor says, gehen Sie früher ins Bett, go to bed earlier. So you see, gehen Sie with the verb first, go to bed earlier. Ich kann nicht gut schlafen, I can't sleep well. Then the Ärztin says, dann trinken Sie nicht so viel Kaffee. Then don't drink so much coffee. Easier said than done, doctor. Vormittags habe ich keine Energie. In the mornings I don't have in the mornings I have no energy, or in the mornings I don't have any energy. And then the doctor says, essen Sie mal ein gesundes Frühstück. Eat a healthy breakfast, or this mal really softens it, so you could say try eating a healthy breakfast. Okay. But see, all of these commands, gehen Sie, the done doesn't really count as a position. It's just it's like, it doesn't count. So trinken is actually first position, and then essen Sie, yeah. And then we are getting to the last unit of chapter 19, and this is basically review because it just lists some suffixes for feminine nouns, and on the first day of class we actually went over common endings for different nouns in the three genders, and but of course it's been a while, so it's good to, after you've learned so much since then, so it's good to come back and see what we had as far as nouns. Now that you've had so much experience with nouns, you can start to recognize these patterns in a way that you couldn't when you first learned this. So we have, we're just going to review all the masculine. For example, referring to male beings are masculine, der Vater, der Hahn, der Gott, right? And then nouns ending in er are almost always masculine. They denote a role or profession. Der Arbeiter, der Wissenschaftler, der Computer. Days of the week, months of the year, and seasons are all masculine. Der Montag, der Dezember, der Winter, der Sommer. And then we had nouns ending in ig, ich, ing, ast, and muss are always masculine. Der König, der Teppich, der Sperling, der Palast, der Sozialismus. So ismus is a super, any noun in English that ends in ism is going to have an equivalent in German with ismus at the end. And then der König reminds me of der Honig. It's very similar. Der Honig means honey, and it has the EY at the end as well. But that's also masculine. And then, yeah, lots of words with the ICH at the end, Palast, yeah. And then directions on a compass are all masculine. Der Norden, der Süden, der Westen, der Osten. Types of alcohol are almost always masculine. Der Alkohol, der Vodka, der Tequila, der Wein, der Rum, der Sekt, but then das Bier. So then feminine nouns. So referring to female beings are almost always feminine. Die Mutter, die Hanna, die Tante, but das Mädchen is neuter. Even though it means girl, it's still neuter because the chen ending is a diminutive, and that means it makes things small and cute, and it changes whatever noun you put it onto, it changes that noun to neuter. And then nouns ending in in are always feminine, and they denote the role or profession. So Studentin, Schauspielerin, Königin, Göttin. Yeah, the in ending is always feminine. And then names of most trees, flowers, fruits, feminine, die Eiche, die Tomate, die Orchidee. And then tons of noun endings here are feminine, probably more than any other, than the other two genders. You have these predictable endings. So I, ich, like Musik, Ton, tons of nouns like the tion, just endless nouns with that ending. Heit and Kite, also very common. Schaft, like Freundschaft, friendship. Tät, like Universität. Tons of nouns, and then Uhr, also quite common. So, die Bäckerei, that's I, die Bäckerei. Die Industrie, tons of, die Demokratie, all of those. Any industry, democracy, any of those, the Y in English is often that IE. Biologie, yeah, die Biologie, all of those. Die Chemie, chemistry, yeah. Die Musik, die Einigkeit, Einigkeit und Recht und Freiheit is, of course, the first line of the German national anthem. So Einigkeit, unity, Recht, rights or justice, and Freiheit, freedom. Diversion, the Tion or the Sion is going to be the feminine. Die Gesundheit, die Gesellschaft, die Universität, die Hoffnung, die Literatur. Literatur, that's the Ur, and of course the other big one, Diktatur, die Diktatur. And then neuter, nouns with endings chen, like we noticed a minute ago, and lein, those are both diminutives. Chen being used more in the north, and lein being used more in the south. So, der Bruder, das Brüderchen. So, little brother, die Flasche, das Fläschchen. Das Buch, das Büchlein. And then if an umlaut is phonetically possible, then you also get the umlaut happening there. Okay, neuter also, foreign origin words that end in O are neuter. So, das Auto, das Radio, das Embargo. And then you can make a noun out of any verb infinitive, which we have talked about. And those are always neuter. Das Lernen, das Denken, das Wissen, das Sein. And then is always neuter. Das Studium, das Universum, das Evangelium. And then, of course, we can come back to this video if you would like to watch this again from a while back. And hopefully you've been watching other videos on this channel. It's a great channel. They have lots of videos that correspond to all the structures we've been learning. And then we have this in the book. So this is like, you can see how English has ing, shun, I guess you say it in English, shun, and then meant. And then those are just very common noun endings, right? And German also has common noun endings. For example, is super common. So that's how you go from beobachten, to observe, as a verb, to Beobachtung, which is observation or surveillance, and it's feminine. Is going to be always feminine. Bestimmen, to determine, Bestimmung, determination. Bewegen, to move, and then Bewegung, which is movement. Bezeichnen, to describe. Bezeichnung. Bezeichnung is it's like a description, but it's also just like something you call something, like a name for something, yeah. And then einführen, to introduce, Einführung, introduction. Entwickeln, to develop, Entwicklung, development. Erfahren, to experience, Erfahrung, experience as a noun. Identifizieren, to identify, Identifizierung, identification. Lösen, to solve, Lösung, solution. Yeah. Trennen, to separate, Trennung, separation. And then, whenever you have you know what the plural is going to be, because that suffix always takes the en, plural. So there's when you notice these patterns, it helps you to know plurals and things, right? And then you have this slight difference in meaning, because we said when you make a noun out of a verb, it's like neuter, right? You can say the observing, das Beobachten, but there's a difference between die Beobachtung and das Beobachten. So it's sort of hard to explain what the difference is, but it's the same as in English, the observation versus the observing. I guess the observing sort of emphasizes like the act in the moment, and then die Beobachtung is observation, right? Yeah, so it's just like in English, you have these two versions of nouns, and this one is like very much referencing the verb. It still seems like a verb, and this one is like, okay, it's really a noun now. It's like a legit noun. Die Bewegung, movement, versus das Bewegen, the moving. Okay, Heit, Keit, Ichkeit, which is just Keit, right? So you can go from ähnlich, similar, to Ähnlichkeit, similarity. You can go from blind, blind, to blindheit, blindness. So similarity, ity, similarity, and then blindness. So those are the two that you see in English that are similar to Heit and Keit. Empfindlich, sensitive. Empfindlichkeit, sensitivity. Ewig, eternal. Ewigkeit, eternity. Fähig, capable, Fähigkeit, ability, capability as well. Genau, exact. Genauigkeit is, exactness or maybe accuracy. Genauigkeit, accuracy. And then hilflos, helpless, Hilflosigkeit, helplessness. Krank, sick, of course. And then Krankheit, sickness or illness. Möglich, possible. Möglichkeit, possibility. Verantwortlich, responsible. Verantwortlichkeit, responsibility. So the plurals are always going to be the en on those suffixes. So that's a little bit on feminine nouns, so you get more comfortable with those as we continue. And then there are the end of chapter exercises for Kapitel 19 for you to do. Viel Glück und viel Spaß beim Übersetzen. Wir sehen uns im nächsten Video. Tschüss, mach's gut, auf Wiedersehen.